Good afternoon and welcome to the Nonprofit Exchange, Leadership Tools and Strategies. Extremely excited to be able to join you today. We've got some special announcements and some wonderful things happening. So I want to introduce real quickly our guest for today, Amanda Babine. She is the Director of Evaluate for Change. And we're going to be talking here today about a new program that our two organizations are going to be working on together. Before we jump into that, I want to remind you about a couple really important things. First off, as always, I'm Todd Greer, your host, Executive Director of Center Vision Leadership Foundation. Also want to remind you about our magazine. As always, you can check out the June issue of Nonprofit Performance Magazine. Go to our website, centervisionleadership.org/magazine. And that is a fabulous opportunity. And Amanda, if I remember correctly, are you in that issue?
We did. We published an article on that.
All right. So you can check out Amanda and Hannah Jacobson, her vice president there at Evaluate for Change. Great article there as we looked at giving for impact in the nonprofit sector. Also want to remind you, you can join us at any point in time to become part of our community, to interact and engage with us as we think about some of these deep and important questions. And that's simple, centervisionleadership.org/register. It's a great way for you to be able to come into the community and continue these kinds of conversations. So, all right, we're cutting to the chase. Amanda, you're here. Real quickly, would you, for those that maybe have never met you before, tell us a little bit about who you are and a little bit about Evaluate for Change.
Great, of course. So Evaluate for Change is actually an organization that's based in New York City, but we serve New York City, Washington, D.C., and Boston, Massachusetts. We also do online trainings. We train overall the social sector, so nonprofits, organizations that fall into donors, foundations, and then government programs that are working for the social good. We do hands-on trainings. It's not consulting in the way that we go into your organization, but you come to us if you do the community-based trainings. We give you skills to go back and kind of build the capacity of your organization, or we work with a team in your organization and we show you how to implement measurement that will show your impact. I actually come from more of an academic background. I've worked at Columbia University and now Rutgers University looking at large-scale pilot programs, mostly in youth development. And so from that, kind of developed Evaluate for Change. And we have a great staff of trainers throughout those 3 cities and online that provide great programming for all social sector professionals.
And one of the things that we've come to really appreciate about Evaluate for Change, not only is their collaborative nature, but I think it's extremely important as we think about the nonprofit sector and where we're going as a sector, is to think about the importance of us understanding our own data. Even before Amanda and I went on air, we were talking about some of the challenges that we face at Center Vision as an organization about understanding our data, capturing our data, and being able to show and prove the impact that we're having. And so really want to encourage you, you can check out Evaluate for Change, you can check out their work and see the ongoing projects that they're doing that will give you insight, and think about participating in some of their upcoming trainings, whether you're in one of the cities that they are working in, or you join them for one of their online trainings. It's a great opportunity to engage and see what's happening there. So here we are today, and today's title is a little bit interesting. We're calling it the Social Collaboratory, and a little bit of background and history here. Amanda had contacted us at Center Vision. We've had some great partnerships over the last year plus about some work that they were doing. And Amanda, if you would kind of set up where this data evaluation challenge was from your end.
Of course. So we decided that we wanted something that was more engaging for our community. for people who aren't able to come to our trainings. And all of our trainings are kind of based on more of a community-based collaborative. So trainings are not sitting and listening to one of our trainers lecture you. It's really going in depth in the program evaluation realm and work on activities throughout the training to get that hands-on feeling. And so we thought, how could we bring that to the community as a whole, especially for people. We do have online trainings. They do unfortunately sell very fast, and we're hoping to change that soon by adding more. So we're trying to figure out how do we really reach the community far and wide. And so we came up with an idea which is kind of popular now in the realm of coming up with a challenge and having different disciplines kind of think through the process of their learning and come up with some kind of solution to it. And so we decided to come up with a challenge based this last month on a recidivism reduction program. They were having some issues. It gives you a background, and we asked people from the community to come in and kind of go over that and tell us, what would you do? Have you worked in a program like this, or a program that might be different but you think would be still beneficial to the recidivism reduction program that we were speaking about? And so out of that, Todd and I kind of started talking about how, instead of having these ideas of theoretical problems, how could we move it into not only helping people think through problems, but that the solution actually gets embedded into an organization. I know Todd's going to talk a little bit about now what we're doing and taking it to the next step.
Absolutely. So as we looked at this, we thought, all right, there are the models, as Amanda talked about, of people that are talking about this, and they're looking at these kinds of things. We thought, what would it look like if we were able to select from some real-life challenges? Every organization that we know faces big problems. We're seeking to solve big problems in the social sector. So what if we were able to take these problems, maybe that we don't have the capacity to overcome and think through on our own, and we work to crowdsource them. And we crowdsource them with social innovators, individuals like entrepreneurs, data analysts, communications and public relation professionals, designers, people who were on the cutting edge of thinking in a variety of different environments. And we ask them to take a look at this problem, whether it's a problem that comes from the nonprofit, the governmental, or the philanthropic sector. We wanted to be able to take a look and think about these real issues. So we started to put our collective brain power together, and we handed this out, actually, even from a framing perspective, to the crowd. We thought, if we're going to be talking about crowdsourcing answers, what better way to think about framing than to first crowdsource even the naming? And so we were able to work with Christopher Chavez, who is at Prime Produce in New York City. Chris came up with what we felt like was a really strong framing. And so what we're calling it is the social collaboratory. And that is this. The social collaboratory, we are transforming social challenges into crowdsourced solutions. So the process and the purpose looks like this. We know every day social challenges are in front of us, all right? Whether it's, what do I do about a homeless population in our city, and how do we make sure that we're seeking to connect them to resources? We start thinking about, yeah, I'm struggling to be able to connect my membership to a deeper purpose and level. So we throw it out there. We've got the questions, and we start to bring players to the table. We ask the social innovators of all stripes to come and deal with this challenge. We want them to be able to have an opportunity to give their ideas, to put them in. We want to be able to curate and collect them together, and to be able to say, hey, look, here's some really intriguing, unique, creative ideas that are really working to alleviate the problem that's in front of this organization. So we're going to put it out. We're going to allow people to vote on what is the best solution to a question, and be able to drive through in that process where we go from start, which is we've got a problem, to not just, hey, we've selected a winner, but to implementation. And we're going to work with organizations as they implement, and we're going to chronicle that journey for you. We think one of the most important things that we can do as organizations is to be able to show you that, it's not simple and it's not always easy, but it's something that we work through, and we can create a journey and a map that might help other organizations. So Amanda, do you want to talk briefly a little bit about kind of the way that an organization could get involved by submitting a request?
Yeah, I would love to. I think you said it perfectly when we're talking about, I think some people who may be listening might say, how is this different from a hackathon, right? Because hackathons are very big now. I think the difference, as Todd had mentioned, is that this is an ongoing facilitation. This isn't, we all come together for a day. And although that is very beneficial, it's more everyone's benefiting from this, right? So we start off with the organizations who are able to, we will have a form that you can fill out, and it's kind of like an RFP or a RFC, so it's more of the challenge piece. And they kind of talk about the issue they're having. We're also looking for small to medium-sized organizations, not just large-scale issues, as Todd had mentioned. And that's another big way we're different from the hackathon, is it's a capacity-building piece. We're trying to kind of pull together all of our resources and help organizations that aren't going to be picked from some of these data science organizations that are going to look at huge issues. It's okay, you know, I'm having an issue reaching this population, how do I do that? And people from around the world can say, oh, well, I've worked with that population, this is what I've done. So the challenges will be submitted. The form will be online shortly, and you'll be able to kind of talk us through what your issue is and what you need help with. We'll select that, and it will go into I think we said every 3 months we'll be selecting one. And the first step will be obviously picking the challenge, working with that organization on how do we really frame this question so that everyone understands what we're trying to conquer. And then it gets posted, and people can individually submit answers and say, this is my solution for the first month. And then the other part is, not everyone might have a great idea, right? They might not be part of that community. They might not have the expertise on that challenge, but they can vote. So we'll have, you know, a bunch of people saying this is a solution, and then for about, you know, 6 weeks, people will be able to vote on that, and then collectively we can come up with, this sounds like the best solution. And as Todd mentioned, going into, okay, so this is a solution, how do we help implement that for the organization? Okay, what are the resources you need? How can we make sure we're tracking to see if the solution works or not? And how do we maybe even strengthen the solution and then figure out what's really working? So it's again, it's a collaborative process of everyone's winning, right? Everybody comes out, you get to learn different ways to think, especially when we're working within different industries.
And one of the reasons why the social collaboratory is actually a really fitting title is just as in you go to a laboratory, you're really dealing with experimentation. One of the things that we're very honest and open about is the fact that we're not going to create simple cookie cutter questions and answers. And what we're dealing with is stuff that has to be nuanced. We're dealing with affected populations who they look different from community to community, and so we want to make sure that as we even bring up this subject and we're talking about this, that we alleviate people's concerns to understand that we're not saying, hey, here's a well-defined answer, and you've got to implement this or else you can't participate in the challenge. What we're saying is we want to be able to bring these answers in the plural sense, to the table, and to be able to work with the processing, to think about who are the affected populations who really need to be at the table as we have these kinds of discussions. How do we begin to integrate that using, as Amanda pointed out, the resources that are in front of you? How do we think about the long-term processing and implementation? And ultimately what we're going to do is, as those winners are there, the winner of the voting, we're going to work with them on the journey, and then through CenterVision's Nonprofit Performance Magazine, we're going to be able to chronicle that journey. What does it look like? What is that nonprofit dealing with? What's the person who submitted the idea? How are they in the process? And what does this look like as a long-term journey? So there's going to be 4 challenges, 4 of these issues that are going to be presented throughout a calendar year, and we're going to be able to follow those quarterly upcoming issues of Nonprofit Performance Magazine. So we're really excited because one of the things, again, we want to talk about real issues, real people, real organizations, and real change. And we need you to be part of this. the blessing that we have. I mean, Amanda, you're currently in New York City right now, or Washington, D.C. right now, correct?
Correct.
She's in Washington, D.C. I'm in Alabama, all right? We've got folks that are around the globe that are going to be participating in with the networked environment that we're in. Answers can come from within our community, but they can also come from our global community. And so we want to be able to take and learn from the crowdsourced intelligence that we have to be able to work forward. So, Amanda, as you think about this and you think about from your perspective of data analytics, what might this look like for an organization as they think about its long-term impact?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think depending on the challenge, obviously it will be tailored to what that looks like, but I think being part of this challenge really helps them understand how can it be measured in the first place, right? So you're having a challenge, you're not sure how to, go about finding a solution to that. And what we always do in our trainings is we always bring people back 3 or 4 steps, and we start by kind of figuring out, why are we even doing this, right? So what is the programming? How's the programming affecting the community? And then we figure out how the challenge fits within that. And then once you get there, you can try to figure out, okay, so we're going to try to pick a solution. Once we figure out what the solution is, how are we going to measure that over long-term progress? How are we going to, and what are our benchmarks? We all have challenges, but how can we actually say that we defined this successfully? What is it that we want to see? So this is the challenge, but what is the solution, and what does that solution look like? Using both quantitative and qualitative analysis, right? We want to, a lot of these challenges, they're coming from the social sector, so it's not all about the hard numbers. We do want that, but we also want to hear stories. Is it that a challenge is that someone's having a really hard time with their engagement, and the youth that they're working with are very unhappy with the programming, right? We can use numbers to kind of, once we implement the solution, to figure out what that is, but we can also get stories, and we can tell a story through the data and be able to, especially going back to the magazine, is update people on what's going on. What are they finding? How well is it working? Did we find a way to tweak it a little bit? And then that can kind of help people who have been in the process the whole time understand what it looks like, a solution. And we say this, especially in data, is that there's no hard or fast rule. There's no, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. It's trying to find the in-between, and the solution, the long-term solution, is really tracking the outcomes based on this new solution and seeing if it works.
And as we think about this, we're all thinking about, how do we come together for learning? Some of this learning may be, oh, wow, that's a really unique perspective. And if I just even begin to take not the outcome or the answer, but if I start thinking about the framing and how would that impact my organization, we have the ability to pull our own outcomes from them. Or even as simple as, this is a really unique framework. How would this allow me to, taking this, how would this allow me to pursue grantors or to think about funders? So we want to make sure as we do all these things that we're thinking about our own unique outcomes as well as the communal sense of the outcomes. That's one of the real valuable pieces to this. We oftentimes joke, though, about it doesn't take somebody who's just a professional in that field. It really takes all of us kind of coming together with our own unique perspectives. I've heard recently a story, Trish Schume, who's the executive director of YNPN, she talked about an organization who ran something similar to this, and nobody knew where each person came from an academic discipline. And it turned out a middle school teacher came up with the best answer for this social sector challenge that was presented. And we thought that's really interesting, because sometimes we're too close to the problem, and as we step away from the problem, we're able to see from perspectives of others. So we really want you to hone in on this. And so one of the things that we're going to see here is on our website, you can go to the hangouts.centervisionleadership.org website. You can see the social collaboratory. And in that, you'll be able to find out all of the pieces of this. So you'll find the processes, the people, the outcomes, all that. There's a really important piece that I want you to focus in on right now. I want you to go there and I want you to find the spot that says, if you would like to submit a challenge or participate, sign up here. And that's your opportunity using Google Forms to be able to go in and to be able to say, yes, I want to participate. Whether you say, I want to ultimately submit a challenge, or I want to participate in something, somebody who wants to just be notified as the challenges come about. This is an opportunity for you to be involved. And you can kind of give us a little bit of framework of how you're approaching the problem, what type of a discipline that you come from. But this is a way that you can be certain to be able to be integrated into this. We very much, both groups here, as we're talking about the organization Evaluate for Change and Center Vision, we want to come at this from a community standpoint. We really strongly believe that we've got a great community of thinkers and doers that are active out here, and we want to bring you in to solve these challenges. Amanda, as we go through this, what have we missed, or what do we need to hit on so that the person that's watching or listening to it?
To elaborate on what you just said, I want to make it clear that we're here to facilitate, so we are not here to answer all of the challenges. So we really want to make that clear to the community. We're kind of creating a space for everyone to come together and work on a challenge, but we are just here to facilitate it. We're able to give the space and organize the efforts, but it's really up to the community to make sure this works and that we get the most from it. So really, if you sign up online, we promise we're not going to bombard you with emails. It's really just letting you know we're finishing the website, so that will be up in 2 to 3 weeks. We'll be ready for our first challenge, and we really just want to be able to tell you it's up, it's ready. If you want to submit the challenge, please feel free to. Again, it depends on kind of your learning style, how involved you want to get. People who submit challenges and people who submit solutions are no more important than people who are voting on those things. So we really want to make sure that you don't have to be someone who is creating this long solution. And the other thing is we are giving people the option of submitting your organizations have to submit the challenge as an organization. But then also when we're thinking about the submissions around ways to conquer that challenge, you can do it individually or you can do it in teams of 4. So if you're even a student who's maybe in a social enterprise program and you're really interested in this, or you're a social work student or a nonprofit professional that's working in a team and you want to submit, we definitely highly recommend that. This again is a collaborative process, as Todd keeps reminding us, so it's up to everyone to really take that step and work as a team. And we're really excited to be tracking through the magazine all of the progress we make, and obviously we're really excited to help the organizations, because in some ways you get a lot of things as a nonprofit. You get the free press, which on a nonprofit budget, right, is really great, and then you get the support from Evaluate for Change around how are we going to measure this. So please feel free, and we're really excited to see the submissions rolling in.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Amanda. I think it's a really exciting time. I encourage you to go to the website, check it out. We'll be tweeting and Facebooking and LinkedIn posting. We'll be doing all that to make sure that we bring everybody into this as an opportunity to be able to bring change. Evaluate for Change at Center Vision, we talk about bringing impact to our communities. This is a great way that we can marry those ideas and those missions to really bring good to others around us. So thank you for joining us. We really want to encourage you to participate. This is about how you find that opportunity to collaborate in the community. So really excited about it. The Social Collaboratory, more information is going to be coming soon, so stay posted. As Amanda said, we'll be rolling out the website and more information in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned, and we'll have more to come. Thank you so much for joining us for the Nonprofit Exchange, another great opportunity to chat and think about leadership tips and tools that can impact your organization. Again, I'm Todd Greer, Executive Director of Center Vision, joined with Amanda Balon from the Evaluate for Change organization. Really excited to have you in.
Same. My pleasure.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.